results tree,
Yeah.
view results in table and aggregate aggregate list.
Others? What we learned yesterday? Nirila?
Yeah. Yeah, it's same different listeners how to create it manually.
Okay. So what is the difference between connect time and response time?
Connect time.
Yeah.
Response time is when you get the response from the server is the response time.
Connect time.
Connect time.
Anyone? What is the connect time?
It is the first interaction with time. I mean, with the client and server interaction. First time.
Yeah, it's a handshake.
Request sent.
Yeah,
Request
to check to get the metadata, what server type is required. Okay. So what is the latency, Tejshvi?
Latency is that based on the response time it calculated, we'll be checking the latency there.
Yeah, the network delay, right? If there is a
Yeah.
network speed, net delay, based on that, latency. Okay. Okay, let me pause the recording for a while. I'll ask. Okay. So yesterday the VROS table and VROS tree, right? VROS tree will having a request and response, whereas VROS table having only data. Correct. So, but the only difference between VROS tree and VROS table is in the VROS table you want the request and response, whereas VROS tree you can see that. And as we are running this much of requests, we'll be seeing a lot of numbers here. So we can't debug one and more, and we can't get the average. That's why we'll be using a aggregate report where it will consolidate your request based on our name. Okay, so let's create a new script, and this time we'll be using request rest.in, or let me search for other sample REST APIs online. Okay, let's see if I get a new website. Okay, I got dummyrestexample.com. Let's go to this. Okay, so we have this API, employees. Okay, we feed this, we got the response data. Okay, now we'll try to add a script for this one. Okay, what is the first thing we need to add? What's the first thing?
Thread
group.
Yeah, thread group. Add thread group. So then
HTTP samplers.
HTTP in the sample section, HTTP request. Right? Then
viewer.
yeah, then we'll be adding VROS tree listener to check the output. Okay. So now the HTTP request, what is the server name here? What was the protocol? Right? First, we have to give HTTP or HTTPS. So just click on here. If you see log symbol, na, ideally it is HTTPS. If you see, click on here also, you'll get to know. If it is not log symbol, that means it's not HTTPS. Okay. So let's write HTTPS. Okay. What is server name here? What is server name? Dummy.restapi.com. Okay. Okay. Now it's method get, right? Because we got the response in the browser, means get method only. Because in the browser you will get response on get, not for post and put. Okay. So it's a get. Now what is the path? What is path here?
API/v1/employees.
Yeah. Do you have any query parameter here?
No.
Do you have any body data?
No.
All right. Okay. Now let's save the script. Dummy REST API JMX. Okay, let's run it, and we should get output whatever the server is giving it. Okay. Okay, we got the data. Correct? So our request is ready. Let's add one more request. So if you observe here, we have get call. Okay, let's name it. It's a get employee, na? All the employees. So let's name it get employees. Okay. So now it's almost same, right? Next one also. Only difference is /1 is there. That's single employee. What I'll do now, simply I will copy paste. Control C, Control V. Okay, and I'll put Virus outside of thread group. And I'll simply replace get employee by 1. And what is the difference here? Only server name, everything same. Only one more in the endpoint or path, one more /1 is added. So in the second one, get employee by 1/1 I will add. Okay, now let's check. It's clear. Run. Okay, error record page not found. Contact. Okay, let's see this one. Are we getting same data or not? Yeah, we got same data. Oh, no, 429 many requests. Means a lot of people are using this API. That's why we're getting 429. It's dummy server, right? Like us, how we are practicing now. Some other people also might be practicing it. Okay, so we're not getting data. Let's run again. Oops. See 429. You know, right? What is 429? Whenever people are accessing the application each and every time at same time, na, if the server is not able to handle the load, they will send 429. Too many requests. We are sending too many requests from the server. Okay, let's wait for some time and run again. Oh no. Okay, let's take other example. Not for this dummy. Let's this free fake REST API. Okay. What we have here. Okay. Let's run this one. We have run script. Okay, got it. Okay. So what is server name here in this URL?
JSON
JSON placeholder.
placeholder dot type code.com.
Yeah, this entire right from this to this. Okay. So I will put in the second one. I will put this one. And what is the path? /to//1. Okay, now let's run it. Okay, I got the data here and do this one also. That's fine, right? Okay, now I'm looking for any post. Okay, let's do post. This is not post, it's the get post. We want post, no? Yes, this is a post. One data. We have got all get only. That's sort of okay, let's do this one. Get post. So again, what I'll do? Copy, paste, get post. Right? Same thing now. What is the endpoint now? Post/1. Okay, let's run it and check. Okay, got post got 1. Okay, what else we have? We have comments, right? Also we do comments. Same again, Control C, Control V. What is the endpoint name? Get comments. Right, copy the endpoint, post/1 comment. Okay, let's run it. Okay, good comes. Okay, so that's enough for us. Okay, we have 4 APIs, right? So now if I run for this 4 APIs for 10 times, let's say 10, and if I add a, let's go to test plan and click add listener users table. Right, run this now. Right, we got, see, for each and every page we got so many of requests.
40.
Yeah, 40. So now, but if one asks how your API is behaving, so you should say an average number. That's where we'll be adding a aggregate report. Okay, right group add listener aggregate report. So aggregate report will help us to consolidate all your results based on your request name. See, all get employees 10 requests. It all consolidated of all 10. And it has given the data. All get employees by 1, get post, get comments. So sir, we'll get some clear picture how your API is going on, how your API is not behaving. Okay. The first thing is if you see the average. So sample is nothing but how many times this API has been triggered. Or how many users are given here? 10, right? So each API will trigger 10 times. So that's why you'll see each API has 10, 10, 10, total 40. Okay. Now average. So average is nothing but out of 10, right? It will do the calculation of all the 10 response times. Out of 10, it will do the average and get the number. So ideally, can I say this average is like proper value to say to my clients, say that, okay, my average is 1.06 second, right? 1.06, right? By default milliseconds, no? So milliseconds by 1000 seconds. So 1.06 second. Can I say this average is okay? Or can I publish this as my response time of my application? No, we shouldn't post this as, or we shouldn't publish, because assume that out of 10 users, 1 user is taking the highest value. Okay, 1 user got struck. There is no resource from server, 1 user got struck, and all 9 are well behaved. So your average will change, right? Due to that 1 user value. It will change or not?
Yes, change.
Others?
Total it is.
It will change, no? Our average will impact, no? If one value is impacted. What is average?
Total is it. Taken is a total request time.
Yeah, sum of all the values by total number of values. Let's say 1, 2, 1, 4, 1.5, or 2.3. Okay, how many were 3, 6, 3.1, 2.4, 1.9. We have 10 values. Assume that I'm meeting the same request only, but user 1 got 1 second, second user got 2 seconds, third user 4 seconds. Like we got each user has each differences due to the application time and speed. If I say average, okay, so how average J metric is calculating? Our same formula. In the Excel we have average AVG, average of your data. Same way your J metric also calculates. So what is got now? 2.1, right? So now can I say 2.1 is good one? Can I say 2.1 is like average? No, because if you see, some users got 1, some users got 4, some users got 3.4. Let's say if I change this 4 to some 8. So your 2 got average is 2.5. So we shouldn't believe average. We should only believe average at one point of time. Not like completely, we shouldn't believe completely this as response. But ideally, this is like one of the factor only, but it's not complete factor. So then how will determine, right? How will determine the response? That's where we have these percentiles. The median is nothing but 50 percentile, 90 percentile, 95, 99. So these percentiles, with the help of average, will get to know how your application is behaving. The response time. Right? So what is the percentiles? You guys have done anywhere about percentiles? In the competitor exams, right? If you see any
Arithmetic.
yeah, kind of exams, you'll see percentile. So what is a percentile? So let's say you have a class of like you have a class of 100 students. Okay, in the 100 students, there is like science subject. In the science subject, you want to know how your students are performing well. Can you tell me how you will get to know how your students are performing well? Out of 100 students, what is your, methodology, what is your check? How will you get to know if all 100 students are performing well or not?
Based on the marks.
Others? How will
Based on
check?
marks, total marks by marks obtained by total marks.
Okay. Any other ideas?
I mean to say it's like pass percentage or some benchmark is there, like 100%. How many are good?
Okay. Yeah, Tejshvi. Let's say you are class principal or a school principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, how will figure it out? Sweta, Nirila.
I got same marks by
Suppose if I say class highest, can I get to know the class behavior with highest value?
No.
Or if I have class lowest, can I assume that the class will almost like that lowest value?
no.
All right, then we'll take
No.
class average. But if the class average will give only some picture, right? If I say class average is some 75 marks, now then it's okay. Class average 75, good. But how do you know which part of sessional class is going well, which part of class is not doing well? We should know these things also, right? Then only we'll get to know how your student is behaving. Correct. So I want to know sections of the class. Okay. How many students were getting good marks? How many students got less marks? How many students got near to average? How many students are near to highest? How many students are near to max? Correct. If you get this number, then only I can understand, okay, this class is okay. Out of 100 people, like at least say 80% are doing good. 80% is having highest more than 70 marks or more than 60 marks. Only 10% people who has less than have 50 marks. If I get that numbers, then is easy way to interrupt or not? Right? The same way, the concept which I applied, same concept will apply into this request. Let's say 100 students are like 100 requests only. Sorry, 100 users. And your science is a request. So each user has each mark or each user each response with a request. So out of that, how the all are behaving, then we'll get to know the percentiles. Okay. So before going percentiles, let's understand how the percentiles will be calculated. Okay. Let's say this is our set of values, right? So percentage is nothing but all of the values we have to sort in an ascending order. Okay. All you have to sort in ascending order. So what is the 1? Okay. Then what is the next value? 1. We have second one, right? Then we have 1.4. Then 1.9. Then we come to 2, right? 2. 2.4 2 times, right? And then we come to 3.1, then 8. Right? And now if I say 50 percentile means out of what are the values? Let's say these are 10, right? Out of 10, your 50 percentile means nothing but 50% of 10. What is the number? 50% of 10.
5 numbers.
5. So let's go to the 5 value. So your value, your 50 percentile is around 2. 50 percentile is around 2. Now if I say 90 percentile, means 90% of my 10. What is the number? 9, right? So it's around between 3.1 and 8. So we have this much a small set, we won't get like properly. But when having a load test, now we'll be having a lakhs of records or thousands of records. So we'll get 90%. 95 means 950. Out of 1000, you get 950th value. See, out of 10, I can't get 95% because I have only 10 values. But in real time, we're having more number of records, right? We'll get 95% also. So now, what is our average? Our average is 2.5. So now, with the help of this 50% 2 means, ever students or ever request, which is highest of 50% is 2. And your 90% is 3. It means your 40% of the request in between 2 and 3.5. So 3.1. Understood, right? Your average value and your 40% of data is between 2 and 3.1. It's like good sign. Okay. Now, same thing, let's apply the request here now. Let's understand here. So median is nothing but 50 percentile. Okay. 90% nothing but 90% of the value. 90% of highest. What is 90% highest? This one. Now let's calculate my percentiles here also manually. Okay, so we have formula equal to percentile percentile. Okay, set. Let's say I want 50%, right? 0.5. You don't have to worry about formulas, everything. How JMAT is calculating, right? Same thing I'm just telling back. You don't have to worry about the formulas. Okay, so you got 2 here. What we calculated manually. What is our 50%?
It's 2.
2, right?
Manually also
What our formula is given?
Yeah.
Same way. I mean, you should know, right, how it's calculating internally. So let's calculate 90 percentile equal to percentile your array data, comma 90% means 0.9. 0.9. So you got around 4.08 because of this 8. Now let's say if I change this 8 to 4, because 8 is, I mean, it's not right. Let's go 4. Let's assume that everyone is doing good. Now if you see, your average is 2.1, your 90% is 3.2. So the more values are near, your 90 and 95, the more values are near and they are near to average, it means your application is doing good. Your 90 percentile, or 95, or 99, whenever these 3 are near, right, means that your application is doing good. But whenever you see the differences, if 99 is like around 2000, your 99 is 1000, your 99 is 500, then it's not a good sign. It means your application is not behaving well. Okay, and one more check is, if you check your maximum and minimum also, your minimum and maximum also, there's a lot of difference, right? Then it means they are not same, because you're writing the same request. So obviously you should get a same response time now. At least not exact same, but difference of milliseconds. Not like if you got 10 seconds, other you should get 1 second. Understood, right? What is the percentiles and why is minimum max here? So to figure it out without having the helping of any server monitoring tool, how we will figure it out if a server is doing good or not, with the help of this pattern. Okay. Now if you check here, let's check the get post comment. If you check here, see, your average 32 and your 99 for all 40, 41 and 27, 41. So this is like a bit difference, right? If you see, your minimum is 27 and maximum is 41. That's okay, but it's like kind of differences. So whenever this 90, 95, 99 are not near to one value, or based on this your response time, then you say your performance test is not good. Okay, without help of any server monitoring tool. So median is nothing but 50 percentile, 95, 99, 99. So ideally in the performance testing, we shouldn't consider average. We should consider 95 or 90. Because as I mentioned yesterday now, so out of 100 users, you can't expect all 100 should be in high response times. Correct? There could be some leverage, right? You can't say, okay, if I hit all 100 should get less than 1 second. No. So we have some issues. I mean, generally, that's why if 5% or 10% we leave it. So we'll be considering 90 or 95. Okay. So that will be, so if you see, if I say average 32, but your 90 and 95 is 40, the difference, right? So this is, we have to consider always. Then the second option will consider the average. Sorry, first is 95, then 90, then the average. Okay. It's clear, right? Average, median, 90, 95, 99. Do you understand now how it's calculating and how they're impacting? Okay, let's run the same test for 50 users. So we'll get more data, right? So we can understand. Okay, if you see here, your average is 185, your 90, 95. See, if you see 95 is 310, your 99 is 406. And if you observe here, minimum is 910, maximum 406, lot of difference. So it means it's not properly, I mean, it's not properly handling by the server. Okay, it's clear? At least this line, everyone?
Yes. But all the requests are a lot of difference, no?
No, I didn't get you.
Not only single, I mean to say that not only that, others also there's a lot of difference.
Right. Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. So that's the minimum and maximum. Minimum is nothing but out of your 50, what is the minimum value and what is the highest value of this one?
The maximum, yes.
Okay.
The
Now
response
error
we receive
percentage.
for the maximum.
Yes. Error percentage out of 50. Suppose if you see here, we got 96% here. Sorry. Yes. If we got 96 means 50 out of 50, 96% error got errors. Okay. And this is where we'll get to know throughput. Throughput is nothing but JMeter sending a request per second. It is sending 11.1 requests per second. If you keep on increasing the load, this throughput will increase here. Okay, for this request, it is sending per second 16.5 seconds. So this throughput will be used throughout to compare the response times. Okay, so you can ignore
That
received
is
KBS
average, correct? Average, no? That is average, no?
of 50.
That throughput. No, throughput.
Not average.
That minimum.
The 50
1
for
second
this.
per 16 seconds.
Yes, per second sending 16.5.
Okay, clear.
Okay, so you can ignore received KBS and KB per second, right? They're nothing but data. Now we have to see here the important values are throughput, your 95 or 90, and your average. Okay, now if you observe this total, right? If this total is like, the total is not like total of all these things. If you take samples, it will take total of this sample, 200. If this average of total is nothing but average of this 4. Okay, because this is a total value, right? Which we represent the entire application. So this is average of the 4. If you take here, this is the average of minimum of 28 is the minimum of this 4. And this 65 is maximum of this 4. Same as percentage of this 90 is nothing but 90% of these 4 values. And here 96 error, right? Out of 4 APIs, we got 1 section API error. That's we got 24%. This total is nothing but, I mean, generally people will assume, right? Total is nothing but, okay, sum of each and everything. No. Whatever your header column defined, the header column applicable is total. So clear with aggregate report?
This means total requests only, no?
Yes. If I say enter application, then we're using this value. If I say if I want to know individual APIs how it's behaving, then we'll go to individual APIs. Okay, shall we go to next listener? Is aggregate report clear? So we'll be using aggregate report in our real-time testing each and every script by default. So this only will help us how our script is doing, how its pattern working on. It's clear, right? Can I go to next listener?
Yes, bro.
Yes.
Yeah. So next one is a
The
summary.
throughput value that 42 are getting now, we are getting.
This total for 200 requests, JMeter sending per second 42.9 requests.
42. Okay.
Okay. Now let's add.
Okay.
Add and one more listener summary report. So this is all same except one standard deviation value. So what is standard deviation? So from your 90 percentile from average, you get to know the differences, right? In one level of difference. How some part of users are behaving, how other part of users are behaving, right? But with the help of this summary report standard deviation, we'll get one more idea. Suppose when you're doing load testing, right? First we'll do trial 1. Okay, for some 100, some 1000 user data. So we'll be repeating same test after some time, trial true. Because in the performance, right, each and every second matters. If the server is busy or your network is busy, your results will vary. Correct. That's why we'll be doing 2 or 3 times of same test to know how your numbers are changing. We can't say, okay, I executed one time, okay, this is the result. No. We'll be executing every test 2 or 3 times at least, so that we'll get a clarity on how the numbers are changing. Whether each and every time whether same numbers we are getting or not, or the numbers are changing. I mean, numbers will change in the fraction of millisecond, that's okay. But if numbers are frequently changing, each and every for same number of users, same number of tests, then there is something wrong on the server side. That's why we'll be doing a 3 or at least 2 to 3 times of same test repetition. So out of these 2 or 3 times, right, how we will know whether all 3 are good or only one of the things is good? With the help of the standard deviation. So what is standard deviation? Standard deviation is nothing but difference between each and every value. What is difference between 1 and 2? 1, right? Now again, 2 and 1, 1. 4 and 1. What is different? 1 and 4? 3. 1.4, 2.4, some 1. Like that, there's differences, right? So the higher standard deviation, it means the higher a difference between each and every value. So whenever a standard is low, out of all 3 runs or 2 runs, then you have to pick up that as a good one. And if you say a standard is almost same for each and every run, that's a very good sign saying that if response the server is behaving well. Okay, let's calculate standard deviation of this one, right? So equal to standard deviation. We have set. Okay, just look. See, we have 0.98. Let's take, I have all ones. What is the difference between each and every value? 0, right? What is the difference?
No difference.
No difference. No, all were same only. Now let's do standard deviation.
0.
See 0. If I, let's say, if I give, let me change some one value to 2. So you got 0.33. You understood it now? Why standard deviation? How it's working? See, why I'm concentrating on this basics, right? In the interview or while you're explaining the project to someone, you should know now. Once you know, okay, what in the report, then only you can explain to your team or your manager. If they ask what is the percentile, if they ask what is standard deviation, you can't say this is a formula, this is default. No, you should explain, okay, this is the way it will calculate it. This is the way which help us to determine whether or test or not. Same way now, let's do our standard deviation of this check. If you see 95 here or 3130, let's say the first time we got 623. So now you don't know, right? This is good or bad. The numbers which are very less, then it's good. Now let's run the same test. Just remember, we got 623. Now like second time, we got 432. It's very different, right? So it means your application is behaving every time in a different format. Let's do the third time, 623, 432. We got 525. So this standard deviation will help us the tracking of each our request, how our response are behaving. Okay. So these are all like we have to consider whenever you want to finalize our report or whenever you want to say, okay, is it good to go or not too good to go. So remaining fields are same, average, minimum, max, throughput, everything all same. Now only in the summary report we'll be having a standard deviation. Okay, it's clear? What is standard deviation? Why you are using it?
Yes,
Ramkrishna?
bro, that's clear.
Yeah.
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's go other listener to understand much more about this data. So we have graph results. So whatever we learned, right, the pattern, everything, we'll see in the graph format. Okay. Let's use paint. Okay. So I have x-axis and y-axis. Okay. So now if I show you one graph and I will ask you, what is the response time graph and what is throughput graph? Can you able to differentiate it? I will show you the graph and I'll ask what is the response time and throughput. Will you be able to differentiate? Okay. This is x-axis, y-axis. Okay. Now I'll tell you. Okay. This is response time graph or throughput graph. Or I will show you. Okay. I will show you one more graph. Y-axis or x-axis, y-axis. Yeah. Can you tell me which is the response time graph, which is the throughput graph? Let's say this is users 1, 10, 20, or 100 users.
I mean, the first one is throughput as per my view.
First one is throughput. Okay.
But second one is response.
Okay. Suresh is saying that is sorry, this is throughput and this is response time, right? Okay. Sweta?
No idea.
Okay. Nerila?
Yeah, can't say from this graph.
Okay. Teshvi?
Throughput, I'm not able to understand, but response is second one. I was able to understand it.
Okay, this is second count response time. Okay. Ramkrishna?
This is reverse, I think. First one is the response and second one is the throughput.
Why Ramkrishna?
Actually, responses is having there is no maximum differences between if it is getting some late in the process 2-3 seconds or 2-3 minutes,
Hmm.
the same alignment may be there.
Hmm. Okay. So, Suresh, why you're thinking first graph is throughput?
Actually, the throughput we are calculating the how many requests we are sending per second. That's why.
Okay, now I'll tell you. Let's say I have one user, right? So generally, let's say one has a 1 second response time. Okay, for 10 users, also I will get around 1 to 2 seconds only, not 10 seconds. If you think here 1 and 10 here, it means your response time will always start from some value, not from lower values, right? So let's say this is a 1 second, I have 5 seconds. So your response time will always start from some of the value, not from lower point. So this is your response time graph. It could be increasing, it could be decreasing, but it's not start from lower value. You can see here, it's a throughput graph. Why? Because for one user, you get one throughput, 1 request per second. For 10 users, we got 10 requests per second. So from 1 to 10, it will slowly start. Till ever, once you are confirmed with 100 users or 200 users, then only like this. Understood, right? Whereas throughput, response time, it always same. I mean, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, or 3 or 4, but it will like this only. Response time. But throughput always start from whenever the users are increasing like this way, 1 to 10. So 1 to 10, 1 for 1 request per second here. So here 10 requests per second. Here 20 requests per second. Like this, the throughput will vary. Understood now, everyone? Response time graph and throughput graph. This is very basic remembering way. Says that response time won't start from this point, whereas throughput always start from this point. Because I have given here 1, 10, 20, 100. If I say only 100 users here, then the throughput also will be somewhere here only. Because what is 100 user starting point? 100 requests per second, right? So 100 requests per second will somewhere like this. So ideally, you should remember like response time always start from somewhere. Your throughput always start from slowly increases along with your users. Okay, to understand, to whatever I said it now, to prove it live, we have this listener. This listener, the graph result listener will help us to know the pattern of your response time and throughput and users. Till this graph clear?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's slowly understand from this graph results how it is behaving. Okay. So let me put some 10 users here. Okay, let's put one user. Okay, if I run the script now. So we won't much see the data here because it doesn't have the data to display much. Correct. So only 4 requests, no? That's why if you see here this point, okay, let's note down. For one user, what is your response time? Throughput. What else we have? response time, throughput, deviation. Okay. So now tell me what is the one user response time here? What is average? 357, right? I'll write me right. 357. What is throughput? It's 167 per minute. What is deviation? 580. Okay. So now let's run the same thing for 10 users. So what we're doing now is simply increase the users count, right? So what you should expect your response time will be around same value. Okay. And your throughput will be into 10 times. For one user, it's running 169 records per minute.
10, no?
It's around 10 means around 8 to 9 times of it. Not exactly 1670. It's around 8 to 9 times of it. Okay, let's run the values now. See, now if you see here, we have got little bit graph data. Okay, out of that, we will remove the data we don't require and we will remove the median 50%. We need these three. Okay, so now let's calculate. What is throughput here? 1090 per minute. You sync, right? Now it's synced, right? Into around 8 to 9 times of it. Now
The
what is
graphs it
response
is
time?
calculated for minute, huh?
No, if
For
it is
the
higher value,
throughput.
it go minute. If it lesser value, it go to second automatically.
Okay.
Okay, if you want into second, right? What to do into 60?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is response time now? Average 310. What is deviation? 447. It's almost same. And see, as expected, one user got same around 10 seconds also got better. But it will be around same and deviation is okay. Same differences. Now let's run same thing with 100 users. If you observe, what is the green color?
Throughput.
If you see, right, green color, it starts from here slowly. Right? If you take the blue, what is the blue color response time? You see, response time starts from some here. Because by default, it has some value for one user also. But by default, throughput for one user is lower value. That's why it starts from slowly. As user increases, your throughput will be increases, whereas response time will be kind of stable or increases. From this graph, you observe, right? At some point, it suddenly increases here from this to this. So ideally, what is your expected response time? Response time should be stable or it should increase or decrease not much of this much of variant. And if you see the deviation, what is deviation? The difference between values, right? Whenever each and every request, the value is higher differences, the deviation will be higher. So if you see the deviation is not higher, that's why your response time is also higher. It means we can say that clearly this 100 users test is not effective one. Okay, let's calculate it for 100 users. What should get? According to our standard, what should get response time is around 549. It's very different, right? For 10 users, we got 310, but 100 users got 549. It's very different. So now, for 100 users means into 10, right? So we should get around 8,000 to 10,000, correct? But what we got here, we got 6,004. 6474 minute. And deviation, 879. So what clearly represents is we should get at least 80-90% of these times, correct? But we got 647. It means even though we are trying to sending, but your server is not accepting it. If one hour server is accepting, right, you will see this is a higher number. You will see around at least 8,000, 9,000 here. Because your server is not accepting. That's why the number got reduced. That's why your response time is increased. Because the queues, the requests are in queue to get the processed by server. That's why response time increases and your throughput decreases. So whenever users are increasing, if response time increasing and throughput decreases, then it's a kind of application breaking. It's kind of where application is not able to accept that load. You guys understood? So let's say again, if users are increasing, right, your throughput, ideal case is this is the one. The throughput should increase. Throughput should increase and your response time should constant or or little bit increase or little bit decrease. But whenever users is increasing, right? This is the ideal way. Whenever you see this pattern in your results, it means your application is behaving good. Suppose for 100 users, you got same pattern. Users are increasing, your throughput increasing, your response time are maintaining same. So 1,000 got same thing. For 2,000 got same thing. But 5,000, your throughput got decreases. It means you are sending the load, but server is not taking that. That's why throughput got decreasing and your response time increases because results are in a queue. What happens? Let's take if you have, let's go to petrol bunk. In the petrol bunk, you have only two tanks, two stations, right? In the petrol bunk, what we called? What is that name? I forget. Yeah, we have two things to only to fill the petrol. Assume that you suddenly there are 100 vehicles came. At some point, it only handle 2, right? So what will happen about other 98? They will wait in the queue, na? So the last person who has come, it will take it will take more time to get his fuel tank. Same as like if on the server's point of view also, if server is taking the request quickly, then your response will decrease because there is no waiting period. If whoever comes, they handle it, they get the response. But when you are sending the higher load where server is not able to handle that, that's where your throughput will decrease, your response time will increases. Whenever throughput is decreasing, response time increases, it's clear picture of saying that our application is not able to handle that much of load. Guys, understood, right? Very, very important concept. Because without server monitoring, with this help of only, we can able to figure out how our application behaving well. Or with the once you got the results, you have to look these patterns. And you have to tell, okay, this is a pattern observing, this is not a good sign, means there's something wrong with this much of load. Where 1,000 is working properly, where 5,000 is not getting, means it's not able to handle the 5,000 user load.
Finally, how much throughput is achieved? That our test. Our test. Throughput, how much?
So we should expecting at least 8,000, 9,000 because 10 users we got 1,000, right? So into 10, we just increase 10 times up. Let's say if I do 50 users. Okay, so what I expect around 40 to 50% of time this value. Let's run with 50 users.
400 requests.
Okay, what is throughput? 2746. What should we get? At least 40 into 5 times of it, right? At least 4,000 or 5,000. But we got 2006. It means whatever sending the request, server is not accepting that. So obviously your response time will, what will happen in the response time? It will be around 310 or more than or less than that? It increases because your throughput decreases, right? If you see response time here, see response time, see 445. If your throughput is working properly, it means your response will decrease. Let's do I'll run with 5 user now. Okay, 5 is doable, right? Now what is expected? I will expect into 4 or 5 times of this value. Let's run with 5 user. Okay, what is the throughput? 5 user got 630. See, it's into 5 times, right?
Yes.
Around. Now, if you check the response time, you see 324. See, it has got limit. It is in the same pattern. Because whenever throughput is increases, so throughput decreases means it's not able to handle load. So in the queue, right, the waiting period will be more. Once waiting period will be more means your request will take more time to process. That's where response time will increase. Okay, so in ideal cases, we won't be using graph results. From the aggregate report also, we get same thing. Now what we need? We need response time throughput. So response time here, throughput here, and deviation of standard.
Summary report is enough, I think. Summary or aggregate report is enough to check the results of the.
Yeah. So graph results, why I'm saying is to understand the pattern here, how the graph displays. Because once we're done with session in the last class, in the last session of the classes, we'll be explaining all the graphs of load generators. This JMeter. So at that time, if you see the graph only, you should understand. how it behaving, why this graph is generated. That's why I'm explaining with the graph results. Okay, it's clear, right? Each and everyone, just let me know if you're not able to understand any other concept here before moving to next topic.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, Nirila, good, right?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, Shweta, Tejshvi.
Yes, Ravi.
Yeah, okay. So these are the lessons which I discussed now, right? The various table, various aggregate summary report. These four will be common and must use by our scripts. We have other listeners that will be using based on our requirement, based on script. But these four are compulsory. Once you're done with the scripting, right? All the scripting is working properly for one user, then we'll be adding these listeners and we'll be checking now slowly for 1 user, 5 user, 10 user, how things are working, things are behaving. Okay. So now if you observe, every time what we're doing, we are clearing, right? Before going to second run.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes,
So
yes.
if your manager asks, where is the results of a previous run? What you will tell? Or you told you execute 10 times. Okay, where is the reports of 10 times? Can we get anywhere? No, right? We can say, okay, I have noted down these things in the Excel. You can't say, this is my Excel. Okay, see, this is I have executed. Your manager will agree or not. You won't agree for this report. Correct? You need a proper report. Or for you also, if you need, okay, for 100 users, you got it, right? For 10 users, you want to debug. I mean, you want to, let's say, for 50, you got response time increases, right? If you want to check out of these four, which out of this four, which request is taking more time? Out of four, you can't say that all four will take more time, right? Some may take more time, some may take less time. If you want to debug it, do you have any place to get those details? If it's a current run, okay, I will say, okay, go to current run, where is various table? Hence, I haven't cleared, so I can say, okay, if you check my sample monitor, right? If you see, get employee is taking more time, right?
Just saving the
Get
script
post,
on.
get comments is taking less time. So it's current run. Now, if I ask you, okay, how your 10 users behave with the script? Do you have place? Do you have any reports? No, right? Yeah. So that's the next check. So whenever starting, I mean, once you debugging state, once you are exploring state, you don't worry about results. But once you start, okay, the script is stable and your load pattern like 1, 5, 10, it's good. Now you want to go for like 20, 30, and you want to see the results each and every time. So this will help us to debug whenever you want, or whenever if a client or manager asks or developer asks, you can give the report. And whenever for you, for yourself also. If suppose today you executed, right? There's some 5 sets, and 2 days after 2 days, you'll get one more release, and you can test it. And you want to compare that release to this release. How will compare? So we need a report file. We need report file to save our purpose, to compare and to get to know how our application behaving to different releases. That's where we'll be using this session. Write results to file, read from the file. If you see, right, this section is common to all the listeners. You can use any listener to save the file. Aggregator, summary report. You'll see every listener. You don't have to say, okay, here one file name, here one file name. You can't say, okay, the summary file name, this aggregate file name, this is a view list file name, this is a table file name, not required. You can use either of the listener to save the file. Any one listener will be enough, because that file will be have capacity to look up to all other listeners also. Okay. So what is our script extension file? What is JMeter script extension?
JMX.
Others? What is script extension?
JMX file.
Yes, JMX, right? Same way, the reports, right? The results of our JMeter will be JTL. Okay, whenever you see dot JTL means it's a JMeter results extension file. Okay, so you can use CSV text also. So ideal way to use JTL, but you can use .csv got text also. Let's say I'm running some 5 user test, right? What I will do, I got any one of the listener, not everyone. So I will write here, where I have kept the JTL. Okay. Any listener that so I will say 5 users underscore trial 1, okay, dot JTL. When you define the JTL file, suppose you are running 5 users trial 2, or you're running some script scenario wise, right? You will say 5 users get comment script. something, whatever the name you want, and clear and run it. So if you run it, if the file is not already there, it will recreate the file. If the file is already present, then JMeter will ask you whether override or append. Okay, and I haven't given the path here, right? So where it will generate the file? So in JMeter, whenever you are dealing with a file upload, a file download, and you are not giving any path, then by default it will be in your bin location. By default, your JMeter working location will be bin. If you are not explicitly sending the path, by default it will generate the file here. Suppose if you given a path like desktop download, wherever it is, then it will generate there. If you're not giving the path, by default the files will be in bin folder. So let's run and see. Okay, if you go to your bin folder, so you got file user.jtl. Okay, let's open this file to understand what is the data there. Okay, so this is the JTL data. It says all the headers, right? And all the data. Whatever we're seeing now, start time, response time, names, the URL, everything is there. So, but are you able to understand this one? No, no, right? So that's where you can use any other listener. Suppose I want to do an aggregate report. Now what I'll do, read from the file section, just in the same section, just browse. And let's go to your bin location. Where is the bin location? Copy the path. Open Pfizer.jtl. Open. See, now we got data. Since already data is there, that's why it happened at 10. Okay, let me clear it. Let me reload it. JTL. See, you got data here. And if you don't want to use JMeter components to check the data, what you can do is you can use Excel. File, open, browse. There is a bin folder. Just here, right? All Excel functions of that. Select all files. You'll get JTL here. Open. And now it's asking delimited. It's comma separated, right? So it's asking delimited. You can say delimited. Next, you say comma. See, it divided. So this is set comma. Next, finish. See, now we got data here. See, what is the timestamp when it started? Elapsed time means here the elapsed time is like nothing but response time. Your label, your response code, message, thread name, data type sent. What is the URL you're hitting? Your latency connect time. So in this way also you can see it. Suppose I want to see the deviation here, right? In the summary report. Simply if I browse it, the JTL, you get JTL. See? So what JMeter to do now? The JTL, this is common JTL, right? So what it do, right? Every time whenever the listener which you load, on that time it will calculate, it will display that data. Okay. So this is JTL file we have to save, and it could be helpful when comparing, when debugging, and to check it. Okay, it's clear, right? JTL file. You can use any listener. You don't have to use all other listeners to generate the file. Okay, let's say, let me clear this one. Okay, and aggregate report also let's clear. Okay, in the videos table I kept here now. So the file is already there, right? If I run second time, so it's asking whether you want to append or you want don't start, you want to override. What override will do? It will clear the data in the file. It will create a new data. So append means it will add your data to your existing file. Don't start means it won't start, and again you can change the file. Okay, so let's run and clear. Let's do the append first time. Okay, if I open my notepad, what is not loading? Okay, let me reopen this Pfizer.tl. Why it's not at appended? Why? Okay, let me run again. Append. Okay, understand. Because the file is already opened here, na? It's not able to write it.
Just close it.
Yeah. Don't save. Okay. Now if I run append, why it's not picking up?
I think you need to close the JTL file also.
I'm not sure. Let me run. Append to existing file. Okay, so let's go to the pin. Okay, we got it now. Okay. See, right? It got appended. Suppose now if I want to override, so clear and run. If I do override, means we'll be losing all the data. We'll be having this one only. See now it's asking, do you want to reload? Yes. See now we lost all the data. We got forward. So very careful while with the JTL file, because if you lose this JTL file, and let's say we have last week you had a release and we have a lot of JTL files for that release, and if we lose it, right, there's no way to compare our data to a current release. JTL files are very important for helping for debugging and comparing and to know compare everything. JTL like is a Bible for us. Okay. Now if you see here, I have a lot of things here, na? Where our thread name is there, response code is there, message is there. So these are things which are not required for me. So in that case, if you don't want to require, you can do configure. So we can use this configure option. Just click on configure. If you select whatever you get it will download those things. Suppose, right, I don't want to save response code. I don't want to data type. I'm unchecking it. URL also not required. Connect time also not connect time required. Okay. Let's say unknown success, sentiment was all not required. Response message also not required. Okay. Now click on done. If you clear and run, let's say override. Good notepad is. You see, it reduced the data. It has given only whatever required. But if you do like this, right, you can't use this listener in other way. Because it may not, suppose if I go to aggregate report, now if I wrote the same file, now you won't get the data. Because you don't have all the variables to get it. Let's clear and load. Browse, JTL, open. So sometimes you got zeros. See here zeros. Because in that file, I configured, right? Customized it. So I'm not saving each and everything. That's why I won't get this data. So whenever you do configuration, you will get the fields which are there only. So whichever listener you open, if the fields are there, then only get that. Otherwise, you'll get a 0 zeros there. Okay, it's clear, right? JTL file.
Yes.
Yeah, the listeners are clear now. These are basic set of listeners which we will be using it. Clear, right? Aggregate report, summary report, percentiles, standard deviation, throughput, the relation between a response time and throughput. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me pause the recording. Yeah. Okay. So this is the listeners concept. So till now, what we learned thread group. We learned a HTTP request how to add from the recorder, and we learned the listeners. Okay. So now let's learn the assertions. So what is assertions? Initially we discussed now what is assertions. How do you validate our response? Right? How will validate response? Well, two ways. First thing is, if your JMeter is giving green color, that's one way of validation. But if a developer is giving a 200 response score for each and everything, like failure pass, or failure pace or success pace, if it's getting 200, then we can't believe that green color or to response score 200. So what is the alternative way? So other alternative is we have to open the response and have to check whether we are getting expected pace or not. Correct? That's where how we'll do now. How we'll compare. Suppose if I want to, let's put it to 1-1 results. Okay, and let me remove this JTL file so that again class append override. Okay, let's give 1-1 user. Registry. So how do I know that this get post, right? So I'm expecting I should get a post, all the posts. So what I'll do, I came to my response body and I check here. Oh, okay, I got the post. If I got comments, okay, I'm getting, okay, this is a post and this is a comments. Okay, this is got a comments. So get employees by one. Okay, I got one employee. So all employees, so I get all employees. Right? So here manual checking each and every time. Now we are running for 1,000 users or 1 lakh users. We will be getting lot of number of requests. So and we can't check each and everything manually, right? The responses. Correct. That's where we will be using assertions. So assertion is nothing but it will validate whether our expected input is there or not. If expected input is not there, then it will fail it. If expected is there, it's pass. That's what now test case validations. How do you know test case pass or fail? Whenever your expected input and expected actual output is not matching, then expected result and actual results. If they both are matched, test case fail. If both are matched, test case pass. Same way, there is an assertion. So the first assertion is, let's go to this post only, comments only. Okay. So right click on the get comments, right click, add assertions. So whenever you want to validate, whenever anyone says how we will validate this response or how we will validate anything, so you have to simply come to assertion sections. So whatever the assertion components available, you can use it to validate it. Okay. The first assertion is response assertion. The name itself, it says, right? What is the response assertion? It will assert the response. So whatever response components is there, it will validate the response. Okay. So let's check the first section. Apply to. In the regular expression also we learned, right? Apply to. Apply to is nothing but whenever your main request is there and sometimes redirecting. And you want to assert your both main and subsample. I mean main and your redirection request. Then you have to go for main and subsample. Assume that it is not redirecting, then you will give main. Assume that you want to do assert or extract only the child one, then you go for some sample. So here I'll put safe sets a main and sample, even though it's redirected or not redirected, it will apply to each and everything. Okay, now field to test. Which field you want to do? In our use case, as per our use case, whatever we want to test, we want to test this one. Now, which part is the response here? Which part it is? This response body.
Correct response.
If I want to assert here, I want to do response assertion. Right? I want to do, if I want to do assert response code, I will come to here. But what is our use case? Our use case is I want to know whether we're getting the comments or not. So which part it is there?
Response
body. Right? That's
body.
where, yeah, go to your assertion and there were field response, text response. Suppose you want to check the response code 200, 300, 400 coming or not, right? Then we will check here. But here we want to check the text response. So just click it by default. Okay. Now, pattern matching rules means what is our logic? How do you want to compare? You want to compare exact logic, or you want to compare if it is off of the word is there? You want to pass it, or is there numbers? You want to compare, or you want to there some like based on number of contents like that. So based on that matching rules, you can use it. By default, if you use substring, that will be enough for us. Where we'll go these things also, but substring is enough for us. Okay. So now what I want to test is, how can I say if my response is properly correct or not? If I say, let's say if I got this email. If I got this email means, okay, I'm sure that it is working, right? So simply copy whatever the field, whatever the response body you want to check, go to assertion and paste here, pattern to test. Under this section, add from copyboard, just paste here. What JMeter will do, right? Once you run the script, it will look for this line as it is in the response. If it is there, it will pass. If it is not there, it will fail. Right? Now, if we run the script, let's see. See, we got pass because it is there. So JMeter won't say by extra anything like it's passed. JMeter only will highlight if it is a failed case. That's what we want, right? We don't want to highlight past cases, no? What we do? We want to highlight failed cases. So how to fail it? Let's put some dummy here. I mean some wrong data, something like this, so that it will fail, right? So now let's run the script. So you now see got red color, and if you expand it, you say assertion failed. And if you say here, text expected to contain this one, it says it, this is not there in the response. So why it highlighted? Because it highlighted only in the failure case. You understood, right? When it's pass, it won't highlight anything. When it's fail, it will highlight. Now, if you see here, what is the failure message we're getting here? Failed texted to expect content, because this is a default message. But I don't want to like that. I want some custom assertion message. So you can see here, custom failure message. So I will write it. Whenever in the face, right, I will say response body doesn't have email. Okay, now if I clear and run, let me clear, keep it so that you can compare. So when you keep custom message, expand here, you see here, response body doesn't have email. If you want to do a custom like thing, you can write here. Otherwise, by default, JMeter will say, okay, this is the email is not there in the body.
You need to give exact value or like inverted comma, like columns also. No?
Sorry?
We need to give exact value or only the pattern.
What is the
Like
pattern you felt, right? So here, whatever you, suppose you want to check this line is there, just copy paste. You want to see what 2 is there. So 2 is there means wherever 2 is there, it will pass, no? Suppose I want to check whether 2 is there or not. What I will do, simply delete this 2. Okay, if I run the script, clear, it will pass. Because 2 is there.
It's totally searching that word.
Everywhere
Totally.
search, whenever it's 2 is pass.
But for the email, here we will be having for different emails right here. Then how do we know for each user will be having the different email?
Correct.
Then
that's where we'll have called JSON assertion, where we'll be mapping individually. Okay, that's we'll covering JSON assertion. Don't worry. Yeah.
I thought we'll be using expression, regular expression.
That's where in the JSON assertion one we'll use that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Suppose I have 2 emails now, I can copy paste the email. So if you go to here, response assertion, add from clipboard. Okay. And I have, let's say I want to copy this email. Copy. I can add this much, but I can add only 3 or 4, right? I can't add 120. If I run the script now, it will pass because whatever I given here, it's all there. So like this I can do, but I have 100 emails. I can't ask all 100, no? That's where we have other options. We'll go whenever go into JSON assertion, we'll be dealing that. Okay, now let's check the response code. Okay, let's say response code. Simply select response code and I'll delete all these things. So what's generally expected 200, right? So if you give 200, simple. So if I run the script, it's passed. Because what we got from server? 200. What we are given? 200. So matching is a fail. Let's give 2001 here. So it fails. When it fails, it will expand. You will see. So response mode doesn't have email. So I haven't changed the custom assertion. Okay, let me remove this. See it failed. Click on it. You get note code expect to contain 2001. Okay, understood, right? Body and response code. Okay, now there are some use cases where I'm doing negative testing. What is negative testing? I will give some invalid values or some invalid. I know that test case will fail, correct? So in that case, I shouldn't expect success response, correct? True or not?
Yes, correct.
Right. Now, how I will do negative testing here? So that's way. Suppose if I give you 200 here, it means whenever success case, we will get 200, it will pass. But I'm doing negative testing. I want to, explicitly want to fail the test case so that I'll know how negative testing is handling. So in that case, if I give you 200, now what it will happen? It will fail, right?
Pass.
It will fail, now. Invalid test case, you won't get 200. Understood, na? In my invalid test case, I'm giving some wrong data. So my server knows that it's wrong data. So it won't give 200. If I give 200, what will happen? It will fail. But I know, right? It should pass because I know in invalid test data, I shouldn't get 200. Expect 200, I should get anything. That's where there is a not. Whenever going native testing, whenever you don't want to do the 200. So now let's say if I give not, right, and I'm giving a valid value. Now this test case pass or fail. It will fail now because what will happen? The response code of 200 is 200 only. But what I said it should not have 200. Not is nothing but a negative testing, reverse case. If you check the error, what will
Only
get?
fail in the case.
Yes. So code expect not to contain 200. So when you are going invalid data, you shouldn't get 200. If you got 200 means your test case is failed. The server has issue. So in that case, we have to expect not. I mean, in a negative case, right? That is not. Nothing but if 200 is there, fail it. If you remove not, what happens? It will check for 200. If it is there, it will pass. But if you don't want 200, then you have to give not. Means whenever the 200 is there, it will fail it. Okay? Clear, right? Assertion?
Okay.
Everyone, very, very important assertion, because once we start the load test, right, we'll be checking the metrics, and if there is error, and we able to handle it, and we'll get to know only error message. Okay, this is failed. Because we can't go each and every request, and we can't check the response body, and we'll be disabling the view results tree. So we don't have any option to check what is going on. So only if you keep assertion, then we'll get to know based on the assertion only, okay, this is not there, that's why it's failed. Only this will help you to check whether which script is failed and why it is failed. Because there is no view, then we can't see response, but how will you know? You got 20% error. What is 20% error? That's why assertions are very, very important. Based on flow, we'll be adding assertion to response code, response body, like everywhere. Okay, so let me stop the recording.